Hey y'all, so today we are working in Module 2, Unit 3, Lesson 1, and we are going to practice analyzing language. Now, this will be tested pretty quickly, so please make sure that you follow along and that you also do the practice that is assigned at the end. We are going to go over our focuses, which is I can use context and relationships among words to better understand the meanings of words and phrases in the omnivore's dilemma. And I can recognize the differences among connotations of words with similar meanings in the omnivore's dilemma. So, more specific, we are going to be going over our terms first. A synonym is a word or phrase that means exactly or almost the same as another word or phrase. Now, denotation is going to be the literal meaning. If you were to go to dictionary.com or open up a dictionary, this is the dictionary definition. So if we talk about a home or a house or a residence, that's a building that is lived in. Now, when we move on to connotation, however, that's the emotional association surrounding a word. So connotation can be positive or negative. Let's look at it this way. Home, house, residence. A home is cozy and loving. House is an actual building and a residence is cold or no feeling. The word home brings positive thoughts to our mind. Home is where the heart is. We've all heard that saying, right? That is the connotative, the feeling that you associate with that word. The connotative meaning is positive. House it reminds you of just the denotation. It is just the actual building. And when you hear the term residence, that's a negative association. It's unfeeling, it's cold. You don't get warm and fuzzies when you hear residence, right? And so the next thing that's important when analyzing language is context clues. Now, context clues are words or phrases that help the reader understand a difficult word. This can be found in the same sentence, the sentence before, or even the sentence after. And finally, things that help us analyze language are affixes. Now, affixes are words that are broken into parts that help us figure out their meaning. Take the term prefix. Prefixes are at the beginning of words. Pre means before. Fix is going to be just attach or repair. So when you put it together, prefix means attached before. Suffix is at the end of a word. And a root is a set of letters that have meaning. It is the most basic form. Affixes are added to the root to create a new word. Now you can have both a prefix and suffix in a word, or you can have one or the other. So go into either your workbook or your Canvas page and make a copy of the Analyzing Language, the Omnivore's Dilemma, Section 8 handout. We're going to do some practicing. Also, pull out your affix list as well. Now, once we are done with this, you will be going to the homework in your workbook, which is at the end, and you're going to complete Analyze Language Section 8. So this is going to be our guided practice, but you please make sure that you remember to complete the homework, which you're going to do independently because we do have an assessment coming up on that information. So let me move over to mine, which is right here. So yours should look just like this, right? Let's look at number 1. I'm sorry. We're on pages 40 to 44 in the Omnivore's Dilemma. If you haven't yet read that, please go ahead and pause and make sure that you do that. Once you have done that, follow along. So number 1 says, why did the author use the word cheap in this sentence instead of using a synonym that's the same with a different connotation, such as affordable? The sentence says, agribusinesses also need cheap corn from which they make processed foods and hundreds of other products. So when we talk about cheap It's not just cheap. The corn that they're using, they're saying is cheap, right? And then it also says that the food is processed and that is used to make hundreds of product. And so, sorry, um, this has a negative connotation. Processed foods in this book hasn't been looked upon the best, right? If you can use something to make hundreds of things, you're like, I don't know if I want to touch that. So it has a negative connotation. So when you're looking at your answers, you're looking for something that also has a negative connotation, right? So this says cheap connotates something of poor quality, and it conveys that the businesses are keeping the cost low. So, okay. B says something of high quality, and we know that that is 100% not right. C says it connotates something of value. If it's a negative connotation, it has to match. Cheap connotates something slow, and it conveys that the agribusinesses prioritize quality. So cheap does not mean slow, right? So we know that that is not our answer. We're not even going to move forward with that one. And so that leaves us with A, which is cheap connotates something of poor quality. That does have a negative connotation that is going to be in line with our answer the most. So number 2 has 2 parts. We're going to be describing the meaning of surplus in the context of the sentence below. After World War II, the government found itself with a tremendous surplus of ammonium nitrate. There was a debate about what the government should do with the leftover bomb material. So surplus is our word. They are using this they used this previously and they have this surplus, right? So in the context of the sentence, surprising event, an amount of something left over when requirements have been met, an ineffective product, or an amount of something missing after supplies have been used up. So we know that this happened after a war, and there's a word in here in the sentence that helps us to figure out our meaning, and that is tremendous. But also remember, you can use the sentences before and after. It says there was a debate about what the government should do with the leftover bomb material. And so leftovers, just like leftovers after you're done eating, right? It's what's after you've finished the main part. So after the war, they have all of this bomb material and it's just there. So from that, I can use my context clues to tell me that B is the correct answer, guys. And the words or phrases that helped us to figure that out were tremendous, and leftover bomb material. And so remember, for context clues, you're not just using the sentence itself sometimes, but the sentence before or after where the word is found is also super helpful. Number 3, in the sentence below, how do the words insect killers and poison help us to better understand pesticides? It says it also it also helps start the pesticide industry. So pesticide is the word we want to understand. It says, since insect killers are based on poison gases developed for the war. So you learn something new. So an insect killer, we already know, kills insects. And poison gases, we know that those didn't really help people, right? And so using these 2 things, it says, the words insect killers and poison tells us that a pesticide is a person who helps insects. A killer is not going to have a positive connotation, right? The words insect killers and poison tell us that pesticide is a chemical used to kill insects. So that might be it. Always read them all. The words insect killers and poisons tell us that a pesticide is a person who helps the insect find food. There's that helps again. And we have a negative connotation going on here. The words insect killers and poison tell us that pesticides is a nutrient that insects need to grow. That grow thing makes it sound more positive. Remember, we are looking for our connotations to match, and so the answer that we have left is B. And then finally, it says when George Naylor's father spread his first load of ammonium nitrate fertilizer, the ecology of his farm underwent a quiet revolution. So when we talk about the word eco, how can we use that to help us find the meaning of ecology? So if you look at your ethics list, it says relating to nature, like an ecosystem, ecotourism, or ecology, right? So relating to nature. So which one of these deals with not only nature, right, but something that is in this sentence. So A says the branch of science that deals with the relationships among living things and their surroundings. The branch of science that deals with chemicals, it says related to nature. That can't be it. The branch of science that deals with the ocean and living things within it. Maybe. And then the branch of science that deals with the sky and space. So the sky and space isn't necessarily nature because it has that space in there. So we're just looking at A and C. We're talking about the ecology of his farm. Which one makes the most sense? Are they the living things and their surroundings, or is it the ocean and living things within it? Is a farm going to be in an ocean or not? And so that, your context clues combined with your affix list helps you to understand that ecology is going to mean A. It's a branch of science that deals with relationships. It is not the ocean because it wouldn't make sense for that to happen on his farm. And so you guys are going to turn to the homework for this section so that you can use these same skills, use your definitions, and use the breakdowns that we just did and complete the homework for section 8 so that you can have as much practice as possible. And this is going to be completed independently. Remember, you have an assessment, and so make sure that you get as much practice as possible. I hope that everyone has a wonderful day. Bye, y'all.